Welcome to this week's Traveling on Everyday Spend Points and Miles report. We've got so much news to go over and so much that still even came in today that I was still working on just about before this even started. In order to not take up any additional time, I'm going to just jump right on into the agenda that we've got. And just a second here. Let me go back. All right. So for the agenda we have today, we've got July credit card intro bonuses that was we normally cover, July transfer bonuses, the July points and miles opportunities, some targeted offers that have been updated, and then we're going to look at some of the news that we have, which is the Virgin Atlantic has double points between U.S. and the U.K. We've got Marriott Bonvoy escapes for last minute travel to select locations. We've got the Chase Sapphire Reserve and how you may be able to utilize that for some access at the Paris Olympics if you got that scheduled. Then we're going to touch on the United Airlines flight attendants. Are they going on strike or where's that at as we are here in the summer travel season? Then I picked out a Reddit topic for us to look at. And the person had asked, why do I need a premium credit card? And I thought it was an interesting question in how he was handling it. So take a look at that and pass on some thoughts. We've got the Park Hyatt London River Thames that is going to be opening late this year. And then a couple topics on Wells Fargo, the choice hotels, credit cards, and if they're worth it, as well as the Wells Fargo One Key credit cards, and if they're worth it. And then at the end, a couple of announcements related to the channel and to see what you all's thoughts are on that. But I will first thank John. Thanks for stopping through. Really appreciate it. And same to Matt. Really appreciate you stopping through, sir. And so let's get going here. So as far as the credit cards offering soon, we still have the Hilton cards through American Express that goes through July 31st. And we did a deep dive on the Hilton credit cards and the tiers. And I'll make sure to put a link for the past live stream where we discussed that. So for your reference. Then for American Express, I always keep the gold and the platinum up just as reminders of making sure to use your private or incognito modes when you're looking at American Express, especially. Capital One, we've obviously got the Venture card that's been talked about with the $250 extra for Capital One travel credit, along with the normal 75,000 miles. The only comment that I would have on it is if you were already looking at the Capital One Venture, then it's a great deal. It just makes a great deal even better. I don't see where if you were going to get the Capital One Venture X, that this becomes a decision. Yes, the $250 is good if you can get it. But if you're getting the Venture X, you're getting it because you want the lounge access and or you're going to travel for those $300 that you're getting for the credit for that to help bring down the cost of that $395 card. So that's just my thought on it. If you were looking at the Venture, great time to jump on it. If you were looking at the Venture X, I don't think it changes your mind, but it's interesting on that. I did do a video on the Capital One Venture. I've already done one on the Venture X as well as the Venture One, so I'll put links for those as well, and hopefully will help as far as decision making. As far as Chase, I always keep the Freedom Flex up here because every week it still has different options when you're in the incognito mode. So keep that in mind if you're looking at that card. We've got the Marriott Bonvoy Bold with its best offer ever at 60,000 points, plus a free night award at 50,000 points with $2,000 worth to spend in the first 3 months. We also have the IHG One Rewards Premier Credit Card as a best offer ever with 5 free nights at 60,000 points for $4,000 in the first 3 months. Excellent deal to be looking at that card. One that I really highly value. I have the business Well, we have the business card for the premier, and we'll definitely be looking at the personal card to take advantage of it. That essentially can fund a vacation for your lodging. Then, as far as Chase, we've got the Southwest cards that are still applicable, and I believe the United credit cards are also still applicable right now. And then, of course, most of us have heard about the Inc. Business Preferred at 120,000 points as a business card, of course, for $8,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months. So definitely keep that one in mind. And then we have the City Strata Premier still at the 75,000 points for $4,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months. And then, of course, the Wells Fargo Choice Privileges cards that have some very high point values for welcome bonuses that we haven't normally seen, but we'll definitely touch on that as well. Um, and then I see that Matt, that the no annual fee, I think, is also 100,000 points right now. You are correct. I have seen that was up. I didn't know if it was, didn't necessarily look at it as best ever, but it is, I think it's historically relatively high, but I do believe that is still going on with that at the same time. Thanks for pointing that out. And then as far as the transfer bonuses that we have, as we normally see at the middle of the month, the transfer bonuses start dying out. So we've got Aeroplan through the end of July. And then we also have Citi with their Cathay Pacific that'll be finishing up in the next few days. So once again, if there is a use case for that for you, definitely consider looking at those. Now, while we don't have much of the transfer options, we do have a lot of points and mile purchase opportunities for your consideration. So we have the Hilton Honors that will be ending July 23rd. That is 100% bonus on those if you purchase 5,000 or more points. The valuation could be at about half, point 0.5 cents per point with travel partners of Amex and Bilt. So if you've got a plan for that, maybe small luxury hotels of the world, that could be an excellent option to really get use out of that. And especially if you're combining that with status you may have of gold or higher. The Air Canada Aeroplan is one I just saw today, but it will be ending on July 19th. This one will be as high as 100% bonus on this. So between 5,000 and 25,000 points, you'll get a 50% bonus, while purchasing 30 to 70,000 points will be a 75% bonus. And then anything 80,000 or above will represent 100%. Now, you shouldn't have any problems with limits because the annual limit is 1 million points purchased per year, with the max being 500,000 points in one single transaction. So once again, if you have a use case, you might want to consider that. Air Canada, obviously, a very versatile point um, uh, program, so one to consider. Marriott Bonvoy, we've got the deadline fast approaching on that. And that one is you have to look at your own status as far as what percentage you might get for the bonus. It's not across the board. So take a look if you're interested and see what your particular account may look like. But that may be something for some top off opportunities if need be. And then we have the Wyndham Rewards that still goes through August the 9th. Purchasing 3,000 or more points to receive a 35% bonus. Um, Obviously, you can look at that for points, whether it's for their all-inclusives, which they have a few good ones, as well as looking at Vacasa rentals that has some very good value for Wyndham. The next one is Copa Airlines Connect Miles, and it's not one I had actually, I think I've seen the plane once at the airport, but didn't know anything about it. So that popped up. That deadline is July 31st. They are part of Star Alliance, and they're based out of Panama. For them, they have basically their highest bonus that they've done, which is 90%. So purchasing 5,000 to 9,000 miles will get you 60% bonus. 10,000 to 14,000 miles will get you 70%. 15 to 19,000 miles will get you an 80% bonus. And then 20,000 points or more will get you that 90%. Now, the maximum purchase in miles is 70,000. They do use a fixed award chart for them. So there may be some spots that you may want to look at. Now, as far as some things about the program, based in Panama, like I mentioned, it's a best ever sale. The 90% bonus, you can only do that once. So you cannot go in, make a purchase of, say, 20,000 miles, get the 90% bonus, and then decide to go back for another 20,000 miles and get the 90% twice. The guidelines are saying that you can only convert that once at 90%. So keep that in mind. Make sure you plan well. A couple of highlights and potential lowlights regarding Copa Airlines. No fuel surcharges when it comes to specifically Emirates, which could be very beneficial. Their access, as far as how liberal they are with round trip tickets. You can get one stop over and two open jaws on a single round trip award, which is a very big benefit that Copa has. Now, as far as some of the negatives, they do have some significant service fees if you're doing some international flights. And they don't have any one-to-one transfer partners directly. Now, I'm not sure of what all of them necessarily look like, but that was something I had read. And then as far as their search engine, it has some issues. I got on it after reading about it a little bit today. It's not a pleasant experience. This is kind of a niche one if you find something that just happens to work out. One of the things I saw was taking Copa Airlines itself from the US to Panama would put you at 15,000 miles economy, 30,000 miles in business. So I'll make sure to have links for the Copa Airlines as well as the others in the comment section at the end for you to be able to explore and see if there's anything that necessarily works for you. I see that Mr. Coco ended up saying, yep, have a free stopover in Panama. Exactly. I guess that is a big deal for them and something to at least consider to kind of explore things. And I see that also says free stopover in Panama for up to a week. Okay. Flew a few times and it's one of my preferred airlines to fly to South America. Thanks for providing that information. It's definitely not something that I knew a whole lot about, but I'm learning that you do know a lot about heading down to South America and Central America. So thanks for sharing. As far as targeted offers, couple of items. We still have the Amex Hilton business card to get up to 25,000 bonus points by earning an extra 10x per dollar on Hilton spend. So that is still going on through the end of September. We mentioned last week about the Chase co-branded cards and quarterly spending offers that vary on any of their co-branded cards. I will put the link in this week's comments again, just to make sure that you do see if there's anything out there. The last one is one that I saw talked about was the city credit cards. And this applies to apparently all of them. I've got the Strata, I guess they're now the Strata Premier at this point. And then I also have the Costco credit card for Citi. I did not have anything for Costco. I did have something for the Citi Strata. But the key for this one is you cannot just go into your account to see if you have it. You actually have to see if you have either snail mail or you have email. And I actually found an email that I had not seen in my junk folder back from earlier this month. And I ended up having 5X on home improvement stores, department stores, and one other category that escapes me right now. For a $500 spend, a total of 2,500 points was the maximum I could receive through September 30th. So if you do have any Citi credit cards, make sure to check the email that you have assigned to your accounts, plural or singular, to make sure that you don't have anything. And if you've got any mail from Citi that you haven't opened, take a look at it just to make sure. But that was something that I stumbled across today that I went ahead and signed up for. And then, as far for the next topic, we've got the Virgin Atlantic double points between the U.S. and UK. Now, this is a kind of last minute kind of thing for this. I'm sorry, not this one. This one is a different one. So we've got double points for select routes specifically between the US and UK. This is for travel through the end of 2024, but you have to book by July 25th. Now, as far as the eligible routes from the US to the UK, you can fly out of JFK, New York to Manchester or London Heathrow. You can fly from LAX in Los Angeles to London Heathrow, or you can fly from Orlando, Florida to Edinburgh, London, or Manchester. Those are the eligible routes for this. As far as the eligible routes from the UK back to the US, or to the US, I shouldn't say back, Edinburgh to Orlando, London to JFK or Orlando, Manchester to JFK and Orlando. I did not see something for LAX. So maybe that's something that's still to be put up there, but I did not see it. So keep that in mind. Now, these bonus points will post into your account within 5 days of flight. And then as far as their economy light class, which is T class, it is excluded from this sale. And then reservations made entirely with points are excluded. I don't have much more information on that, so I don't know what would specifically trigger it. I didn't have enough time to look at those, but I will provide the links for the landing pages both ways, whether you're going from the US to the UK or the UK to US, if you have something that you might want to look at. So that is something to consider, but a short turnaround time of July 25th. And then we've got the Marriott Bonvoy escapes, which I had not heard of myself. Now, these are the last minute getaways that are available. This is for travel between July 22nd and August 11th, but you have to book by July 21st. And there is a landing page that I will also put the link for. But if for some reason that there is an issue, promo code is QRI. Now, for if you're not a Bonvoy member, you're eligible for a 15% discount, while Bonvoy members are eligible for 20%. Now, obviously, it doesn't cost you anything to become a Bonvoy member, so there's no reason to leave 5% on the table. So, if interested, sign up. Doesn't cost you anything. Get the 20%. Now, I did go onto the page for this, and when I clicked the drop down, I did not see any applicable hotels, at least for the United States, in this current promotion. And so, what it does is that it's not because it's a specific landing page. If I try to type something out for my son, if I was to go there in Maryland, and just typing in the town did not come up with anything. But when I clicked the drop down, it is in alphabetical order with numerous countries in Europe, some in Africa, I believe, but I did not see anything in the United States. So keep that one in mind. Um, the reservations booked through this promotion are non-changeable and non-refundable. So if you see something that 20% discount is going to be beneficial, make sure that you know that that's the stay you want, because you're not going to be able to get that changed or refunded. Advanced booking rates must be prepaid 5 days in advance. Now, most of the hotels, they say, are only available for check-in between Thursday and Sunday. Now they say there are a limited number that are available for check-in any day. So make sure to check your specific um, lodging that you're interested in from that selection, and make sure of what works and what does not work. Now, the sale does not apply to St. Regis, Ritz-Carlton, Bulgari, Edition, Design Hotels, as well as Homes and Villas by Marriott Bonvoy. But everything else seems to be possibility depending upon the location. So make sure to take a look at that landing page if interested. And then Chase Sapphire Reserve in the Paris Olympics. I only found out about this today, and I found it interesting. I'm wondering if other people have heard about it, um, and I may be a bit behind, but what's going on is I was reading about benefits related to being at the Olympics with that Chase Sapphire Reserve card. So you'll have access to the Visa Lounge, which is going to be located in central Paris. It's going to be open from 11 a.m. to midnight. In the lounge, will have gourmet food and views of the River Seine and the Eiffel Tower from where it's located. It will also include meet and greets that you can be able to reserve with to see Michael Phelps, obviously swimmer, Tony Parker, basketball player, Allie Raceman, woman gymnast, Allison Felix, track star, and Sue Bird, basketball star. Like I mentioned, reservations are needed. I'll make sure to put the link for the landing page for those meet and greets for you to be able to look at. And then they will have exclusive restaurant reservations over at, I don't know if it's just pronounced giraffe or not. So if it isn't, I apologize for that. They say it's an excellent French restaurant with outstanding views of the Eiffel Tower, and that would be for lunch and dinner. I see that Matt's got something on here. Have to spend 3 nights at Marriott to keep my temporary gold on my Sapphire Reserve. That landing page may work out well. Great. I'll make sure to have that in there. Um, Excellent perks for just having the card. I'm surprised that it is something that wasn't talked about earlier, but I only read about it today. So the Olympics are fast approaching. Um, I'm also curious of how many card holders will be there, and if you will ever get into that lounge. And let alone, you better get the reservations done immediately for that meet and greet. I think it was like a couple of days and a few times a piece from what I read, but the landing page will put that information, will have that information in there for you. And there'll also be a landing page for the restaurant reservation. So I'll have those up as soon as this live stream is over. And then topic 8 is the United flight attendants and if they're going to go on strike. So the union representing the United's 28,000 flight attendants plan to authorize a strike vote. And the vote will occur between sometime during the month of August, between the 1st and the 28th. And they are expected to authorize that strike. Now, it's a nice little reminder for people is that when it comes to airlines or railroads, trains and such, they are governed by the Railway Labor Act, and that's what slows everything down from possibly striking, as you probably have seen in other cases where strikes have occurred. So United management and the union have to follow those procedures. And as I mentioned, it's a federal law to govern labor relations for railroad and airline industries. And that was enacted way back in 1926. Now, the purpose of the act, like I mentioned, is to avoid any interruption of interstate commerce. So where do they go from here, even if they're authorizing that strike? Well, they first have to deal with the National Mediation Board. And that mediation goes on for an enormous amount of time, can get to multiple months, of course. The strike can only happen after the mediation fails, and there's also a 30-day cooling off period. So a lot of time's going to elapse. Now, as far as what the United flight attendants have been doing, they filed for federal mediation all the way 8 months ago. And the union is currently seeking double-digit base pay increased pay for time at work, including on the ground retroactive pay to an amenable date, schedule flexibility, work rule improvements, job security, retirement, and more. So they've got a lot that they've got on their list. Now, the United flight attendants are one of the last major U.S. airlines that are involved in the contract process recently. Southwest ratified their agreement. Alaska has a tentative contract to approve, and American is nearing a new contract themselves. As far as Delta, as we've talked about one time before when we talked about the year-end bonuses, Delta is not unionized. They are expected to make pay rate adjustments once all of these airlines finish their contracts to continue to remain competitive. But just wanted to kind of throw that out to kind of give some information about how this act really comes into play. And then as far as our next topic, this is the one as far as why do I need a premium credit card that I thought was interesting out of Reddit. And so, as far as the facts of the person, 30 plus years old, they've got two credit cards. One is a college credit card, which is unnamed, and then the Wells Fargo Active Cash. What he said was he had lately been reading and watching YouTube videos on credit cards, and he hears them, quote unquote, say that no annual fee cards are considered basic credit cards for students and younger folks. And so he has looked at the Amex Gold, the Venture X, as well as the Chase Sapphire Preferred. None of the cards appealed to him from a multiplier or credits that were provided point of view. And so the questions he asked of the audience or the people on Reddit was one, are reward points in the portal more valuable than his statement credit? And two, do they inflate the price on the travel portal pricing? So I just wanted to kind of pass on my thoughts, and I know we've got a few creators on here too that would be interesting to see their comments. As far as his experience of what he's read and watched on YouTube related to premium cards, I will just speak for myself. Um, I'm a person that likes the premium credit cards um, to talk about as well as to experience. Um, but I think the interesting thing for him was he had looked at the Amex Gold, the Ventrex, and the Chase Sapphire Preferred as premium cards with credits and multiplier issues. While a person that's, and we talked a little bit about the Venture X before, the Venture X, you're getting it to get lounge access. Or once again, you're doing it because you know you're going to spend $300 worth of travel. That's what makes that premium card. The Amex Gold, as most of us know, and it was a recent video I even did, was the fact that those credits, as typical of Amex, is to just make the annual fee more of have a less effective rate for people. That's not what makes it a premium card. You're essentially paying the premium for the 4X in groceries and dining, essentially. And then as far as the Chase Sapphire Preferred, as we all know and have probably talked about, the Sapphire Preferred, it's the only reason you have it, essentially, especially in the mid to late game, is because it gets you access to the points in the lowest price possible to convert the cash back to the miles for Chase. Obviously, there's other options, but that's normally kind of where most people kind of jump in and start. For me, I think that there might have been some kind of different view of what premium really represented. And then as far as his experience, I think that for me, it's easy to talk about the premium cards. There's more to talk about with them, but more importantly, I just really love them. The convenience that it gets me in the access is why I would have a premium card, at least in my particular case. And so as far as his questions, as far as are reward points more valuable than his statement credit, it all depends on how you choose to use them. If you've got those points and if you're comfortable with being in the portal, and that doesn't matter whether it's the Capital One or the City or Chase or whatever portal it is, depending upon how you utilize them, it can be more or it could be less. And then as far as do they inflate the price on travel portal pricing, the main thing is that you have to make the comparison in each individual case. There's not a blanket answer of that, in my opinion. So check the Google Flights or check the Expedia or the hotels.com or obviously the individual lodgings website and airfare and do some comparison. You do have to put a little bit of time into it, but the biggest thing I would end up saying is to have your own personal plan. Nobody needs to have a premium credit card. If you're comfortable not having a premium credit card, if you don't aren't interested or don't need lounge access, if you don't need credits for Clear or TSA PreCheck, for those that makes those premium credit cards, then don't get them. That's the beauty of points and miles. It can be anything you want it to be for yourself, and it can be anything the next person to you wants for themselves. So those are just my thoughts, but I thought it was an interesting thing of almost kind of him feeling like he was kind of almost pressured, that he needed to get it. And most of the feedback was kind of similar to what I mentioned in some of those cases. But I see that Matt has a couple things here. Let me get here. Premium cards are great and can enhance your experience, but you can get some pretty good travel experience for no annual fee. Savor One, Venture One, Active Cash, Autograph, or the Bill Card. Completely correct. And I think that in a lot of cases, the talk about the no annual fee cards and how powered up some of them are, like the Savor One, like the Build credit card, are easy things to talk about, and they have almost their own. They almost become a version of premium for the day to day type of spending, and especially as the way that as expensive as things are these days, it's you need to be able to get it any way you can. So whether you're a cashback person or want to convert for points and miles, just do what works in your program. And I see John said, no need for a premium card if you don't need or value lounge access. Correct. And there's a lot of people that don't worry about it. And that's okay. So, but I wanted to kind of bring that to share with that and get you all thoughts and sharing comments. The next topic is Fake Flex, the American Express Black Card. Article I read. So there is a company called Steel Skins that creates replicas of prestigious credit cards. So you can send in any existing debit or credit card to them, and they will basically give you a redesigned card to look like several exclusive credit cards, such as the Centurion, JP Morgan Reserve, Coots. I think it's Coots. I don't know if it's pronounced Couts or Coots. Coots debit card, as well as the Dubai First Royale card. Now, as far as the process, you mail your debit or credit card in that you want to be converted, and upon receipt, Steelskins will transplant the EMV chip and also transfer the magnetic strip information onto the replica card with your details engraved. Um, as far as prices, you can spend from $210 for the Couts debit card all the way to $430 for the Dubai First Royale card. You don't you there is no contactless payment option for the card that you get. So you do lose that if you had it before. Um, I find it interesting. I guess I could see it if I just wanted some kind of token thing just because I have $210 to $430 just to spend. I would hope that there wouldn't be many people that would think that they would be flexing too much for that. I mean, you can have that Dubai First Royale card and jump in your Pinto or your Chevy Sprint if you want to. But I guess if that works for you, then God bless you then. Got a couple comments here. Competitor to the Lion card. I did hear about the Lion card, but I hadn't read up much on that. So I appreciate you pointing that out. Then I see Fashion Forward Steel Skins equals Steel Skins. Super cool concept, though. It is. Like I said, if you just got money laying around and with nothing else to do and you just want to have something, sure, why not? Hopefully, otherwise, you're not necessarily trying to do it for the flex, though. And I see, John, hopefully you're using that 2X catch-all to pay for that reskin. Yes, because every dollar is going to help. So, but I thought it was an interesting kind of fun one to be able to take a look at. So wanted to put that together for you all. And then we've got the Park Hyatt London River Thames opening in late 2024. So they announced doing this project back in 2020. It's going to be a 203 room hotel that'll be located in a new development, which is the 19 Elms development. It's a mixed use skyscraper project. So you've got 19 Elms is a 42-story river tower and a 57-story city tower. Now, the 42-story river tower will have 103 Park Hyatt residences and the Park Hyatt Hotel, while the 57-story city tower has 334 residential apartments, along with guest rooms at the Park Hyatt. I'm sorry for that over there. Now, those guest rooms, unfortunately, for the Park Hyatt, are on the first 18 floors of the 42-story tower, which unfortunately means you don't have a great view of where it's based on where you're located and being only on those first 18 floors. It is going to be a Category 7 hotel, so people might end up having a certificate for that. There'll be 4 dining areas, 3 on the ground floor, which will be the 9 Elms Kitchen and Terrace, which will be all day dining, the 9 Elms Bar and Lounge, which is essentially a lobby lounge, and then I'm going to call it Tamise. I may be wrong, so if I am, feel free to let me know. And it'll be a wine tasting room. And then the 4th dining area is going to be an Asian restaurant, but it's not named yet. This is the first of 3 new luxury hotels that are going to be coming to London. The other 2 are going to be the St. Regis London in 2025. It will be where the Westbury Mayfair Hotel is currently. It's currently being renovated. It is currently a Marriott Luxury Collection. They're going once they get done with the renovation, they're going to rebrand it to a St. Regis. The other one, which I will have a link because I thought it was beautiful, what I'm about to say, and that's going to be the Waldorf Astoria London Admiralty Arch in 2025. So I had not heard of the Admiralty, I think, Arch. It's a landmark there in London, and they're going to transform it into this Waldorf Astoria hotel. The size of that, almost kind of like a horseshoe shape, and where it sits, it just, I mean, from a visual standpoint, it's beautiful of what they might be able to do with that hotel. And this has kind of been as these 3 luxury hotels are kind of taking space there in London. Um, they just have lacked a lot of luxury hotels from what I've read. I've not had the pleasure to go to London yet, maybe in the next year or so. But yet another Park Hyatt being available, and some luxury hotels that are going to be occurring there in London. And then let's look on the Wells Fargo Choice Hotel credit cards and if it's worth it. Now, I will be honest to say I've not stayed at a Choice Hotel in a long time. When I had a previous job, I traveled all around my state, um, all of the counties to look at communities to help buy property for parks or to renovate parks or to get new equipment at parks. And Choice was my comfort inn, was pretty much my standby in all of these places that I was traveling all the time to. Cheap at that time, but safe and clean was what I got for it. So I thought this was interesting as far as these welcome bonus options that are very elevated currently. So we've got 2 credit cards that Wells Fargo does. You got the Choice Privileges MasterCard, which has a welcome bonus of 60,000 points with only $1,000 worth to spend in 3 months. The valuation that a lot of people have is zero 0.6 cents per point. So a $360 value for a no annual fee card. You'll get 5 points on your Choice hotel stays on per dollar and 3 points for gas stations, groceries, home improvement, and phone plans. You'll automatically get 10 elite nights that will give you gold elite status. And it is a World Elite MasterCard, and it'll also have cell phone protection with it. Then you have the Chase Privileges Select MasterCard. Now that one will go up to 90,000 points with $3,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months, $540 value. This is a $95 annual fee card, but the Choice Hotel Stays jumps up to 10 points a dollar and 5 points per dollar on gas stations, groceries, home improvement, and phone plans. You'll get automatic Platinum Elite status, which is 20 Elite Night credits. You'll also get $100 for the TSA Global Entry credit. But on top of that, you'll get 30,000 bonus points each anniversary, which valued at 6 cents per point, you're talking about $180 on a $95 annual fee. So if you are a road warrior and one that does Choice, that one may be something to consider because of the higher point valuation and because of the bonus points that you're getting, essentially almost doubling the annual fee that you're paying. Now, as far as a few thoughts to keep in mind, Choice Hotel Award nights can range from 6,000 points all the way to 35,000 points for a location that would be in New York or New York City. Now, they also have a Choice Hotel Sweet Spot Rewards program where they do discounts on select properties, which I had not heard of either. Now, they had acquired the Radisson Hotel brand in 2022, and they are now fully integrated. So it gave another level of hotel experience to get Radisson in some cases that may be a nice option as well. Now, what are the alternatives for this? Well, Citi does transfer to them at a 1-to-2 rate. And if you're talking about a $95 City Strata Premier and you're getting 75,000 points for it, but you now have a flexible credit card, not one that is fixed on Choice. So I would probably say that if unless you are a diehard Choice Privileges user, neither of the cards probably are ideal because I think the City Strata Premier by itself can provide you excellent options throughout the year. But if you are that road warrior for Choice, those are two credit cards to consider, especially the Select. So I wanted to provide that information to you. And then we've got the Wells Fargo One Key credit cards. And once again, is it worth it? So for this, I had heard about One Key, but I needed to re-educate myself. Many of you all may already know what One Key is. So One Key is the unified group of Hotels.com, Expedia, and Vrbo. If you're a member of One Key, you get 2% for every dollar you spend on hotel vacation rentals, hotels, activities, packages, car rentals, as well as cruises. If you're doing it for flights, though, you do only get 0.2% on your flights. Now, you will still earn your frequent flyer and elite status qualifying miles as you're booking through Expedia, but obviously a very minimal number. As far as status, if you get top tier status, which is platinum for them, you get 3x on VIP access properties, which would represent 6x in One Key cash based upon 3x times the 2% that all members get. So we've got two credit cards for your consideration if you are a user of One Key. So the first one is the One Key card, and you'll get $400 worth of One Key cash for $1,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months. There is no annual fee. You'll get 3% in One Key cash when you're doing Expedia, Hotels.com, Vrbo, as well as gas stations, groceries, and dining. You'll get 1.5% on all other One Key cash on all other property or purchases rather. Now, you'll get Silver Elite status with that card, which gets you 50% more at VIP access properties and 15% discount on participating hotels. The next one would be the One Key Plus. For that one, you're going to get $600 if you have $3,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months. It does have a $99 annual fee. And for that one, you'll get 3% on One Key Cash on Expedia, Hotels.com, Verbo, gas stations, groceries, and dining. And the 1.5% will kick up to 2% on all other purchases. You will get Gold Elite status on this one, and that gets you 2x more on any VIP access properties that you do go through. And you'll get 20% discount at participating hotels versus 15%. And you'll get space available upgrades at those VIP hotels when you go. You'll also get $100 worth of One Key Cash each anniversary, and they also have $100 towards TSA PreCheck and Global Entry. Um, I guess this could be something good if a person is really rooted in One Key Cash, to help them get to different tiers. I have to claim a bit of ignorance on it. It's not something I've really ever been interested in. I do remember back in the day of going to getting hotels.com and for hotel stays and checking off where I think if you paid for the first 10, you'd get one night for free. So I definitely used that when it existed. But that would be, I think this is definitely a special use case for people. So I'm curious of what other people might be thinking about One Key Cash. So, as far as the special announcement, there's two things I want to raise. But first, I want to thank each and every person that listens to the watches and listens to the live streams and the videos. I sincerely appreciate it. It's been very eye-opening and a good learning experience for me. Um, so, as far as the two announcements, the first announcement is this live stream that I do on Thursdays. I'm going to also have it um, in a podcast audio only format. So a couple people had talked to me about um, that type of option for people that might want to listen to it and not necessarily are too much into YouTube or want to be able to hear something when they run or do other activities. So starting next week, this live stream will be a recorded audio only podcast. As far as in addition to the live stream will still continue, but I will also make it available as an audio only um, item on a podcast. So if you have any interest in that, please consider listening to that as well. And if you've got family and friends that might be more of a podcast listener than a YouTube watcher, please consider sharing that information with them on that. So I'd really appreciate it, and we'll see how that goes. The second one announcement is that I'm going to be looking to do a second show each week. And what I call it, at least in vision, is I call it the credit card clinic. And so it would be a weekly show. And what I would look to end up doing is having a sit down, kind of a one on one conversation with a viewer. And we would discuss their next travel goals, their current credit card setup. We would also discuss my thoughts and recommendations on their setup, as well as any potential credit cards that may help them to reach their goals a little bit quicker. And so, my hope with doing something like this is that um, it's very easy for people to ask questions in the comment section, and I'm always happy to answer them. But I thought maybe a 20 to 30 minute kind of thing to be able to just sit down on StreamYard, just kind of talking with somebody about those, I thought might be a pretty good idea and might be beneficial for viewers. Um, and so what I envision is a very easy 3-step process. I would basically make available a questionnaire to complete and email to me, and I would put that in the comment section. And I'll have it up shortly. And then I'll review the questionnaires on a first come first serve basis, and then I'll contact back the viewer to make sure for a 5 to 10 minute conversation just to make sure I'm on the same page with you as the viewer, on what you're trying to get and be able to accomplish, and then set up a time for us to talk. And so I would view this as probably a recording, to be done, to make sure that I can make sure that it's as that we can set up a time as that works for you, and then put it on for the following week. But just wanted to kind of that's kind of a thought that I thought might be beneficial. And as far as the questionnaire, nothing too crazy, but I wanted to just kind of walk people through it. Basically, where do you want to travel? When do you want to travel, like month and year? Because obviously, I know for myself, I normally have to plan a year ahead of time for a week long vacation, to plan my points, to plan of what the best options are going to be. Some people may have I'm sure a lot of people have more flexibility than I do. But the planning part and the time range is very important. What are your current credit cards and when did you open them? Mainly to see where you kind of stand currently. And then, of course, to be able to determine, to keep the 524 in mind, for the reason for that. And then, how many flexible points do you have in each of your in the ecosystems of Amex, Built, Capital One, Chase, City, and Wells Fargo, to kind of see where you already are at with your credit cards and your points, because there may not be much you need to do for this particular trip that you're looking at, but maybe it's the next one. Or maybe there'll be some options that you may not have been aware of that might help fully maximize the points and miles that you already have. And then, do you have any airline and or hotel miles and points? And if so, how much and where are they at? And then, as far as the FICO score, I want to make sure that I'm noting here, this would not be shared on on our discussion that we record. It's really just for me to be able to know, what your availability to be able to get certain cards. And let me say this already: if you may not be in the best situation, because I know I've been there with a bottom feeding kind of FICO score back in the day. Um, no matter how good or bad it is, there's still something to be worked out with it. It may take a little bit more time in some cases, but that's what it's for. So it's not anything to publicize unless you want it to be. And then, are there currently credit cards that you're interested in? I want to make sure to address those, um, because you've obviously identified that there are cards that you might be interested in. So let's talk about those and how they fit in for your upcoming plan. And then, what's the average spend you have in the following categories of rent, mortgage, dining, groceries, gas, travel, utilities, and other? And then, of course, are you open to business credit cards? Some people are comfortable with them, some people are not. I want to make sure that if we're going to have a conversation about it, that I'm only talking about things that you feel comfortable with, that fits within your comfort zone. I'm not looking to suggest things that are going to put you outside of that. And so that's the thing for the questionnaire on that. So that's kind of my view of doing what I call a credit card clinic. I'll be curious, of if there's interest in doing that. And like I said, I'll work around your schedule for recording on it, and we'll just put it up as a recorded cast the following week. But those are the two announcements that I've got. If there's anybody that has questions about these announcements as well as anything else, please let me know. And even if you don't have any now, make sure to put them in the comments section and let me know. I'm more than happy to answer each and every one of those comments and questions. And I will put in the pinned comment for my email specifically for this YouTube channel. And you'll have this list of the questions right here. And if you're interested, send me an email with the answers to the questions, as well as the best way to contact you. And we'll be able to get things started. But if no one does have any questions, I can't thank everybody enough for taking the time to watch this live stream. And I will make sure to have the recorded version up as soon as possible with chapters. So thank you all so much, and you all have a great day.